Daishun floated in the observation deck of Earth's orbital research station, his eyes fixed on the stars beyond the reinforced glass. 3 years had passed since humanity achieved faster-than-light travel, and in all that time they had found nothing but empty systems and dead worlds. He was beginning to think they were alone in the universe. The coffee in his magnetic cup had gone cold an hour ago, but he didn't care. His workstation displayed another failed scan of the deep space sector. Nothing. Always nothing. His supervisor would be disappointed again. But Dae-Soon had stopped caring about disappointing people after his sister died in the first FTL test explosion. The alarm changed everything. Red lights flashed across every surface of the station. The emergency siren wailed through the corridors. Dae-Sung's heart hammered in his chest as he pushed himself toward the main console. The screen showed something impossible. A massive object had appeared 300 kilometers from the station. It hadn't traveled there. It had simply appeared, as if space itself had opened up and let it through. "This is Commander Park to all personnel," a voice crackled over the intercom. "We have an unidentified vessel in near orbit. All combat teams to stations. Science Division, I need answers now." Dae-Sung's fingers flew across the keyboard. The vessel was like nothing in human databases. It was huge, easily twice the size of the research station, but it moved with an organic grace that made his stomach turn. The hull seemed to shimmer and shift, covered in patterns that looked almost like scales or feathers. No visible engines. No weapons ports that he could identify. It just hung there in the darkness, waiting. "It's alive," Dae-Soon whispered to himself. "The ship is alive." His colleague Min-Seo grabbed his shoulder. Her face was pale. "Dae-Soon, something's coming out of it." They watched the screens as a smaller craft detached from the main vessel. This one was different, more clearly mechanical, but still bearing that strange organic aesthetic. It moved toward the station with purpose, ignoring all hailing attempts from Commander Park. The docking bay doors shouldn't have opened. They were locked down under emergency protocols. But they opened anyway, sliding apart as if controlled by an invisible hand. The small craft settled into the bay with barely a sound. Dae-Soon ran. He didn't know why, but something pulled him toward the docking bay. Security teams were already there, weapons raised, when he arrived. Through the reinforced window, he could see the craft's door opening. A figure stepped out. She was humanoid, but clearly not human. Her skin had a faint luminescence, like moonlight on water. Her eyes were too large, too bright, shifting between colors that had no names in human language. She wore something that looked like cloth, but moved like liquid, adapting to her body with each step. She was tall, taller than any human woman, and she moved with a confidence that made the armed soldiers take a step back. "Stand down." Commander Park's voice was tight with tension. "Do not fire unless I give the order." The alien woman stopped in the center of the bay. She looked directly at the observation window where Dae-Soon stood. Her lips moved, and somehow, impossibly, he heard her voice in his head. "I need to speak with Dae-Soon." The words were in Korean. Perfect Korean, with the accent of someone from Seoul. Dae-Sung's hands went numb. How did she know his name? How did she know his language? Commander Park was shouting questions through the intercom, but the alien woman ignored him. She kept her eyes locked on Dae-Soon. "Come with me, human," she said, still speaking directly into his mind. "Your species has been observed. What comes next will determine if you survive the century." The security door to the docking bay hissed open. Dae-Soon found himself walking through it before his brain caught up with his body. The soldiers tried to stop him, but Commander Park ordered them to stand down. Everyone was as confused as he was. Up close, the alien was even more striking. Her eyes held depths that made him feel like he was falling. She smiled, and it seemed almost human, almost kind. "My name is Hannah," she said, this time speaking aloud. Her voice was melodic, strange, but understandable. "I am a representative of the Collective, an alliance of 347 spacefaring species. We have been watching your world for a very long time." "Why me?" Day soon managed to ask. His voice sounded small and distant. "Because you understand loss," Hannah replied. "Because you have questions that need answers. Because your sister died believing in something greater than herself, and you have been searching for meaning ever since." Daesung's blood turned to ice. "How do you know about my sister?" "We know many things about humanity," Hannah said. "We know you have just discovered faster-than-light travel. We know you are reaching out into the galaxy with hope and fear in equal measure. We know that in your short history, you have shown both remarkable compassion and terrible violence. This is why I am here. The Collective must decide what to do about your species." Commander Park's voice boomed through the intercom. "This station is under Earth Union authority. You will submit to our protocols or leave immediately." Hannah didn't even glance at the speakers. "I will speak only with Daesung. If your leaders try to detain me or study my technology, I will leave, and the Collective will vote to quarantine your entire solar system. You will never leave this corner of space. You will die here, alone, never knowing what awaited you among the stars." The silence that followed was heavy. Daesung could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. Finally, he spoke. "What do you want from me?" "Come with me to the Collective," Hannah said. "See what we have built. Learn why we watch species like yours so carefully, and then help me convince them that humanity deserves a chance to join us. And if I refuse, then humanity will be left to find its own way. But I must tell you something, Daesung. You are not the first humans I have contacted." Hannah's expression grew sad. 3 years ago, we made contact with a small team of explorers. They were given a simple test. They failed. Most of them died. One survived and has been living among us ever since, trying to earn humanity a second chance. Daesung felt the world tilt beneath him. Who was it? "Come with me and find out." Hannah extended her hand. "But you must decide now. The Collective is patient, but they are not infinite in their mercy. Another species is being evaluated in this same cycle. If they prove themselves worthy first, the resources allocated for humanity will be redirected. You will be forgotten." Behind him, Daesung could hear Commander Park arguing with someone, probably the Earth Union Council. They wanted to capture Hannah, to take apart her ship, to steal whatever technology they could. It was the human way, always had been. Take what you can, ask questions later. But Daesung thought about his sister. She had volunteered for the FTL test because she believed humanity was meant for something greater. She had died reaching for the stars. If there was even a chance that her death had meaning, he had to take it. "I'll come with you," he said. Hannah's smile widened. "Then we must leave now. Say goodbye to your world, Daesung. It may be some time before you return." As they walked toward her craft, alarms began blaring again. Commander Park was ordering security teams to seal the bay. But Hannah moved her hand in a gentle gesture, and the soldiers simply stopped, frozen in place, but still breathing, still aware. "I do not wish to harm them," she explained, "but I will not be detained." They boarded the small craft. Inside, it was warm and smelled like rain on summer grass. The door sealed behind them with a soft click. Through the viewport, Daesung watched the docking bay fall away as they lifted off. The station grew smaller and smaller until it was just another light among thousands. Hannah's larger vessel loomed ahead, its surface rippling with patterns of light. As they approached, an opening appeared in the hull, like a mouth opening to swallow them whole. "What you are about to see," Hana said quietly, will change everything you believe about the universe and humanity's place in it. Are you ready? Daesung looked back one last time at Earth, a blue marble hanging in the darkness. No, he admitted, but I don't think anyone could be. The small craft slipped into the alien vessel, and the opening sealed shut behind them. Daesung's old life ended. Whatever came next, there would be no going back. The inside of Hana's vessel was nothing like Daesung expected. He had imagined cold metal corridors and blinking computer screens, like something from old science fiction movies. Instead, he found himself walking through passages that felt alive. The walls were smooth and warm to the touch, glowing softly with bioluminescent patterns that shifted as he moved past them. The air tasted clean and slightly sweet, like mountain air after rain. Hana led him through winding corridors without speaking. Other beings passed them occasionally. Some were humanoid, others decidedly not. A creature with 6 limbs and crystalline skin nodded politely at Hana. Another being that looked like it was made of liquid metal flowed past them along the ceiling. None of them seemed surprised to see a human aboard. They arrived at what Daesung assumed was a viewing chamber. The entire front wall was transparent, offering an unobstructed view of space. But this wasn't the space he knew. Streams of colored light flowed past them like rivers, and the stars themselves seemed closer, brighter, more alive than they should be. We are traveling through a wormhole network, Hana explained, seeing his confusion. Your species calls them Einstein-Rosen bridges, though you have not yet figured out how to create or stabilize them. These pathways are older than human civilization. They connect every corner of the galaxy. Where are we going? Daesung asked. To the archive, Hana replied. It orbits a dying star in a system your people have never charted. There, you will learn the truth about humanity's place in the collective's plans. The journey took hours, or perhaps days. Daesung couldn't tell. Time seemed to move differently on the ship. Hana provided him with food that looked strange, but tasted surprisingly familiar. She showed him quarters where he could rest, a small room with a bed that adjusted to his body, and a window that displayed whatever view he wished to see. He asked for Earth, and the window showed him his home world, even though they were now light years away. When they finally emerged from the wormhole network, Daesung gasped. Before them hung a structure so massive, it made Earth's largest cities look like toys. The archive was a ring of metal and energy surrounding a red giant star. Ships came and went from it like bees around a hive, each one different from the last. 3 billion beings live and work here, Hana said. Every species in the collective contributes to maintaining the archive. It holds the complete history of galactic civilization, going back 400 million years. They docked at one of the smaller ports. As they disembarked, Daesung saw other humans for the first time since leaving Earth. 2 of them stood near the entrance, both wearing clothes similar to Hana's liquid fabric. They looked at him with expressions he couldn't read. One of them stepped forward. He was younger than Daesung, maybe 25, with sharp features and eyes that seemed too aware. You're the new candidate, he said in Korean. I'm Tae-min. I've been here for 3 years. Daesung stared. 3 years? But we only achieved FTL 3 years ago. How? We achieved it because they let us, Tae-min said bitterly. The collective has been guiding human development for centuries, pushing us toward the stars. When we were ready, they allowed us to discover the principles of faster-than-light travel. Everything we think we invented, we were meant to find. Hana placed a gentle hand on Tae-min's shoulder. It is more complicated than that. Come, both of you. There is much to show. They walked through corridors filled with beings from 1,000 different worlds. Daesung saw creatures that defied description. Things that existed in forms his brain struggled to process. But what disturbed him most were the humans. There were maybe 24 of them scattered throughout the archive, and they all had that same look in their eyes. Changed, different, like they had seen too much and couldn't remember how to be human anymore. Hannah brought them to a vast chamber filled with floating screens and holographic displays. Each one showed information in dozens of languages and symbol systems. She moved her hand, and one screen expanded, filling Daesung's vision. "This is humanity's file," she said. The screen showed Earth from space, but the date stamp read 3000 BCE. Another image showed ancient humans discovering fire. Another showed the first cities rising from the dirt. Battle after battle. Empire after empire. The Industrial Revolution. The World Wars. The Space Age. All of it documented. All of it watched. "You have been recording us for 5,000 years?" Daesung whispered. "Longer," Hannah admitted. "The collective identifies promising species early in their development. We watch. We wait. We see if they will survive long enough to reach the stars." "Why?" Daesung demanded. "Why watch and never help? Do you know how many people have died? How much suffering we've endured?" "Yes," Hannah said simply. "We know exactly how many. Every death is recorded here. Every war, every famine, every disease. And we have learned, through terrible experience, that species which are given help too early never develop the strength they need to survive. They become dependent. They stagnate. They die anyway, just more slowly and more painfully." Tae Min laughed, a harsh sound with no humor in it. "She's telling you the sanitized version. The truth is uglier. 3 years ago, they contacted my team. 5 of us, explorers who had just completed humanity's first successful FTL jump. They welcomed us with open arms, gave us technology, showed us wonders, treated us like honored guests." His expression darkened. "And then we got greedy. We started asking for more. Advanced weapons, medical technology, power systems that could transform Earth into a paradise. When they refused, we tried to take it by force. We attacked our hosts. We stole what we could carry. We thought we were so clever, so strong." Daesung felt sick. "What happened?" "They stopped us easily," Tae Min said. 3 of my team died in the fighting. The 4th escaped back to Earth and was killed when his ship malfunctioned during re-entry. I was captured. They could have executed me. Instead, they gave me a choice. Stay here and try to prove humanity deserves another chance, or return to Earth and watch as the collective votes to quarantine our entire species forever." Hannah moved her hand again, and new images appeared. Daesung recognized some of the faces. The missing explorer team that had disappeared 3 years ago. The tragedy that had been blamed on experimental engine failures. It had all been lies. Then one face appeared that made his heart stop. His sister, the Jinn. She was alive in these recordings, standing on an alien ship, arguing with someone Daesung couldn't see. "Play it," he said, his voice breaking. "Play that recording." Hannah hesitated, then nodded. The video expanded, and his sister's voice filled the chamber. "You can't judge all of humanity by the actions of a few," the Jinn was saying. She looked tired, scared, but determined. "Yes, we're violent. Yes, we're unpredictable. But we're also capable of incredible compassion. We reach across our differences. We sacrifice for strangers. We refuse to give up even when giving up would be easier. Give us time. Give us a chance to prove what we can become." The alien she was speaking to, a massive creature with too many eyes, responded in a language the system translated. "Your words are beautiful, but words mean nothing. Your companions have shown us the truth of humanity. You take what you want. You destroy what you fear. This is what you are. Then let me show you something different, the Jinn said. The video showed her moving toward a control panel. Alarms started blaring. The other humans in the video, Tae-min included, were shouting at her to stop. Your sister sabotaged our escape, Tae-min said quietly. She disabled the stolen technology and locked down the ship so we couldn't run. She saved the aliens we were attacking, even though she knew it meant she would die with the rest of us. The video showed the explosion. Brief, bright, and final. When it cleared, the aliens had survived. 3 humans hadn't. The Jinn was among the dead. They soon couldn't breathe. He stumbled backward, and Hana caught him. She argued for humanity's second chance, Hana said softly. Her final words were recorded in our archives. She said that humanity was young and stupid, but not beyond hope. She made us promise to test you again, to see if her species could learn from their mistakes. This is why you came for me, Dae-sung whispered. Because of what she did. Partly, Hana agreed. But also because you share something with your sister. You both understand that strength without compassion is just cruelty. The collective needs to know if that quality exists in more humans, or if the Jinn was unique. Tae-min stepped forward. The collective is divided on humanity. Half want to welcome us. Half want to leave us isolated until we either evolve or destroy ourselves. There's a third option nobody told you about yet. Hana shot him a warning look, but Tae-min ignored it. They can vote to eliminate us. It's rare, only used on species considered too dangerous to exist. But it's happened before. 13 times in recorded history. Dae-sung looked at Hana. Is that true? She met his gaze steadily. Yes, species that show promise but consistently choose violence over cooperation are sometimes removed. It is considered a mercy, preventing them from spreading suffering throughout the galaxy. And humanity is being considered for this? You are being evaluated, Hana said carefully. The real test hasn't begun yet. What you've seen here is just the introduction. Soon, you will be asked to prove that your species can unite, not through fear or conquest, but through something the galaxy has forgotten how to value. What's that? Dae-sung asked. Hana smiled sadly. Compassion under pressure. The ability to help others, even when helping costs you something. Your sister showed us that one human could do this. You must show us that humans as a species can embrace this philosophy. If you succeed, the collective will welcome humanity with open arms. If you fail, she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Dae-sung looked at his sister's face frozen on the screen. Forever young, forever brave, forever gone. What do I have to do? He asked. Come with me, Hana said. There is someone I want you to meet. Someone who has been waiting 3 years to help humanity earn its place among the stars. They left the chamber behind. As they walked, Dae-sung felt the weight of his species' future settling onto his shoulders. His sister had died, buying them a second chance. He couldn't let that sacrifice be meaningless. Whatever test was coming, he would face it. For the Jinn. For humanity. For the hope that they could be better than their worst impulses. The fracture zone looked like the end of the universe. Dae-sung stared out at the debris field that stretched before them. Countless broken ships and shattered stations drifting through the darkness. These were the remains of civilizations that had failed, species that had destroyed themselves or been destroyed by others. The graveyard of dead dreams. This is where the collective sends candidates for their final test, Hana explained. She stood beside him in the command deck of a small transport vessel. Somewhere in this wreckage is an artifact. You and your team must retrieve it before it falls into the wrong hands. Dae-sung looked at the others gathered around them. Besides himself and Hana, there were 5 more. Tae-min stood with his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. A woman named Ji Woo, a combat specialist who had been pulled from Earth's military just days ago, checked her weapons with practiced efficiency. The three aliens were even more diverse. One resembled a floating mass of tentacles. Another was insectoid, with 4 arms and compound eyes. The third looked almost human, but moved in ways that made Dae-sung's head hurt. The Devourers are already searching for the artifact, Hana continued. They are a faction that rejects the collective's philosophy. They believe in taking what they want from weaker species. If they acquire this artifact first, they will use it to attack vulnerable worlds. Ji Woo spoke up, her voice hard. Why not send a full military force? Why risk everything on a test? Because the test is the point, Tae-min said. The collective wants to see if humans can work alongside aliens under pressure. If we can't, then we're not worth having around. That's insane, Ji Woo shot back. You're telling me humanity's entire future depends on whether we can play nice during a treasure hunt? Hana's luminescent eyes fixed on her. It depends on whether you can see beings different from yourself as allies rather than enemies or tools. Many species fail this test. They succeed at retrieving the artifact, but reveal their true nature in the process. The collective does not want members who will smile and cooperate only when it benefits them. The tentacled alien made a sound that the translation device rendered as words. I am Vel. My species joined the collective 800 of your years ago. We were tested as you are being tested. Many of my people wanted to seize the artifact and flee. They believed the collective was weak, that we should take what we could and build our own empire. Those people failed the test. What happened to them? Dae-sung asked. They were allowed to leave. The collective did not punish them, but they spent the next 2 centuries isolated, watching other species advance while they stagnated. Eventually, they begged to be tested again. I am descended from those who passed on the second attempt. I know the cost of pride and the value of cooperation. The ship shuddered as they entered the fracture zone. Debris pinged off their shields. The insectoid alien, who called itself Kira, moved to the navigation console. Its 4 arms danced across the controls with impossible speed. I am detecting multiple vessels in the area, Kira reported. 3 are Devourer attack craft. They are already excavating one of the larger wrecks. Can we avoid them? Dae-sung asked. No, Hana said. The artifact is in that same wreck. You will have to go in while the Devourers are active. This is not a combat mission, but neither is it a stealth operation. You must retrieve the artifact and escape without starting a war. Ji Woo laughed bitterly. You mean we have to let ourselves get shot at and not shoot back? I mean you have to be smarter than violence, Hana replied. This is what separates the collective from factions like the Devourers. We solve problems without making them worse. They approached the massive wreck carefully. It had once been a city ship, home to millions. Now it was a tomb, its hull split open like a cracked egg. The Devourer ships were smaller and angular, designed for speed and aggression. They were cutting into the wreck with industrial tools, tearing out anything valuable. We will need to go in on foot, Vel said. The artifact is deep inside, in what was once the central archive. I can guide us there, but we must move quickly. They suited up and entered the wreck through a breached airlock. The interior was a nightmare of twisted metal and frozen bodies. Whatever had destroyed this place had done so quickly, giving the inhabitants no time to escape. Dae-sung tried not to look at the faces. They moved in 2 groups. Dae-sung led the first with Vel and the almost human alien named Seo-min. Ki-woo led the second with Tae-min and Kira. Hana remained with the ship, ready to extract them if things went wrong. The path to the archive was treacherous. They navigated through collapsed corridors and chambers open to vacuum. Once, they had to cross a gap 50 meters wide using magnetic boots and grappling lines. Dae-sung's heart hammered the entire time, but he focused on the task and didn't look down. They reached the archive, just as the Devourers did. The enemy team consisted of 4 beings, each one more heavily armed than Ji-Woo's entire loadout. They stopped when they saw Dae-sung's group, weapons raising. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then the largest Devourer spoke, its voice translated by their suits. "The collective sends children to do important work. How desperate you must be." "We are here for the artifact," Dae-sung said, keeping his voice steady. "We don't want trouble." "Then leave. This wreck and everything in it belongs to those strong enough to claim it. Your collective's rules mean nothing out here." Ji-Woo's hand moved toward her weapon, but Dae-sung stopped her with a gesture. His mind raced. Fighting would be suicide, but surrendering would mean failing the test. There had to be another way. What if we worked together? He suggested. Every being in both groups stared at him like he'd grown a second head. The Devourer leader actually laughed. "Work together? You would trust us?" "No," Dae-sung admitted. "But I know what this artifact is. Henna showed me. It's a data core containing the memories of a species that destroyed itself through paranoia and war. It's a warning, not a weapon. If you take it, all you'll get is a history lesson. If we take it, same thing. But if we retrieve it together and both report what we find, maybe both our peoples learn something valuable." "He's lying," one of the other Devourers said. "It's a trick." But their leader held up a hand. "Perhaps. Or perhaps the human is clever. Tell me, why would the collective send you after a warning? What value does it have?" "It shows us what not to become," Dae-sung said. "The species that lived here destroyed themselves because they couldn't trust anyone, not even their own people. They saw enemies everywhere until they became the very thing they feared. The collective wants us to learn from their mistake." The Devourer leader considered this. Around them, the wreck groaned and shifted. They didn't have much time before the whole structure collapsed. "Very well," the Devourer finally said. "We will retrieve it together. But if you betray us, human, your death will be slow." They moved as one group into the heart of the archive. The artifact was exactly where Vel had predicted, sealed in a container that had survived the destruction of everything around it. It was small, no bigger than Dae-sung's fist, and it pulsed with a soft blue light dot. As they extracted it, the wreck began to collapse in earnest. Explosions rocked the structure as ancient power systems finally gave out. They ran, alien and human together, racing death through corridors that were closing behind them. They almost made it. A massive section of hull collapsed, blocking the path back to their ships. Ji-Woo scanned frantically for another route. "There's an emergency airlock, but it only opens from the inside, and the controls are damaged. Someone would have to stay behind to manually open it." Dae-sung looked at the artifact in his hands, then at the mixed group around him. In that moment, he understood the test completely. It wasn't about retrieving the artifact. It was about this choice. Would they sacrifice one of their own to save the others? Would they fight over who should die? Would they abandon the mission and find another way, even if it meant certain death for everyone? Before he could speak, Tae-min stepped forward. "I'll do it." "No," Dae-sung said. "You've been here 3 years. You've earned your chance to go home." "That's exactly why it should be me," Tae-min replied. "I understand both sides now. I'm not fully human anymore, but I'm not fully one of them either. Maybe that makes me the only one who can make this choice clearly. Get the artifact to the collective. Tell them that humans can learn. Tell them that my sister's sacrifice wasn't in vain." Dae-sung stared. "Your sister?" Tae-min smiled sadly. "The Jinn was my sister. I never told you because I was ashamed. I was the one who suggested stealing the technology. I was the one who led the attack. She died cleaning up my mess. Let me finally do something she would have been proud of." Before anyone could argue, Taemin pushed them toward the airlock and moved to the manual controls. The door began to open slowly. Through it, they could see their ships waiting. "Go!" Taemin shouted. "Tell our story." They went. Even the Devourers respected the sacrifice enough to help pull everyone through. The airlock slammed shut behind them just as the entire section collapsed. Taemin was gone. They reached the ships and fled the fracture zone. The Devourers didn't attack. They didn't thank Daesung's team either. They simply took their readings of the artifact and left. Back on Hannah's ship, Daesung held the artifact and wept. They had succeeded. They had the data, but the cost felt too high. "He chose this," Hannah said gently. Taemin spent 3 years searching for a way to redeem himself. He found it. His sacrifice will be remembered. Will it be enough? Ji Woo asked. "Will the collective accept us now?" Hannah's expression was unreadable. "You have passed one test, but there are more questions to answer. The collective is ancient and cautious. They have seen species show promise only to fail when the stakes become personal. Your next challenge will be harder. It will test not your ability to work with strangers, but your willingness to give up something precious for the greater good." Daesung looked at the artifact. Inside it were the memories of billions of beings who had failed to trust each other. They had let fear turn them into monsters. Humanity stood at the same crossroads. The choice they made next would echo through generations. When? He asked. "Soon," Hannah replied. "First, we must return to the collective's homeworld. There, you will face your final test. And there, you will learn what it truly costs to join the greatest alliance the galaxy has ever known." The collective's homeworld defied description. Daesung had thought the archive was massive, but this place made it look like a village. The entire planet had been transformed into a living city, where architecture from 1,000 different species merged into something beyond beautiful. Towers of crystal reached into clouds that rained colors he had no names for. Gardens floated in the sky, held aloft by technology that looked like magic. Beings of every imaginable form moved through streets and skyways, working together in harmony that seemed too perfect to be real. 60 billion people live here, Hannah said as their ship descended toward a landing platform. Representatives from every species in the collective. This is the heart of galactic civilization. Ji Woo stood beside Daesung, her expression hard. She hadn't spoken much since they left the fracture zone. Losing Taemin had affected her more than she wanted to admit. "It's beautiful," she said quietly. But beauty can hide ugly truths. They were taken to a residence tower that adjusted itself to human needs. The air became oxygen-rich, the gravity settled to Earth normal, and the furniture shifted into forms their bodies could use comfortably. Other humans were already there, including several Daesung didn't recognize. They had been brought from Earth in the days following his departure. One of them, a diplomat named Bo-Ra, stepped forward. She was older than the others, with gray in her hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. "You must be Daesung? Earth's governments are in chaos over your disappearance. Some want to declare war on the collective. Others are preparing to surrender whatever the cost. A few of us are trying to find a middle path." "What kind of middle path?" Daesung asked. "One where humanity keeps its soul," Bo-Ra replied. She led them to a conference room where holographic displays showed Earth in turmoil. Protests, military buildups, emergency sessions of every major government. The collective has made their offer clear. They will accept humanity fully, give us access to all their technology and knowledge, welcome us as equals. But there's a price. Hannah entered the room behind them. I was going to explain this to Dae-Soong privately, but perhaps it is better that you all hear it together. The collective requires something from all member species, something that ensures unity and prevents the kind of betrayals that destroyed so many civilizations before the collective was formed. She gestured, and a new hologram appeared. It showed a neural structure, complex and beautiful, connecting billions of minds across vast distances. This is the Unity Network. Every member of the collective is connected to it. Not a hive mind, nothing so crude. Individual thoughts and identity remain private. But emotions, intentions, basic truth, and falsehood become shared. It is impossible to hide hostile intent. Impossible to plan betrayals. Impossible to lie about fundamental things. The room fell silent. Finally, Ji Woo spoke. You want to put something in our brains that makes us incapable of privacy? I want nothing, Hana said. This is what the collective requires. It is not negotiable. Every species that joins must accept the Unity Network. It is the foundation of everything we have built. Dae-Soong felt cold. What happens to people who refuse? They can live separate lives on worlds designated for those who choose isolation. They have good lives, comfortable lives, but they are not part of the collective. They do not share in the great works or the great discoveries. They remain forever on the outside, watching others move forward without them. Ba'ora's voice was tight with anger. This is slavery. You're asking us to give up our free will. No, Hannah replied calmly. Free will remains intact. The Unity Network does not control your choices. It only makes certain kinds of deception impossible. You can still disagree, still argue, still fight if necessary. But you cannot hide secret plans to harm others. You cannot pretend friendship while planning betrayal. Is that really so terrible? Yes, Gi-Woo said. Because some secrets are necessary. Some lies protect people. What about surprise parties? What about military strategy against external threats? What about personal thoughts that might hurt someone if spoken aloud? The network is more sophisticated than you understand, Hana explained. Small deceptions, kind lies, personal privacy in matters that don't affect others, these all remain possible. What becomes impossible is large-scale conspiracy, hidden agendas that endanger communities. The kinds of secrets that throughout history have led to war and genocide and suffering beyond measure. Another human spoke up. A young man named Kyung-Soo who had been studying the collective's technology. I've been reviewing the data. The Unity Network has been in place for 50,000 years. In that time, the collective has experienced 0 internal wars, 0 genocides within member species, 0 major betrayals. Before the network, even species within the collective fought constantly. The network brought peace. At what cost? Ba'ora demanded. We become something other than human. We lose the thing that makes us who we are. And what is that? Hana asked. The ability to deceive? To hide harmful intentions? These are not virtues to celebrate. Dae-Soong had been thinking, working through the implications. What about Earth? Not everyone will want this. We'll be divided. Yes, Hana agreed. This is why the decision is difficult. Some humans will join the collective. Others will remain isolated. Your species will split. That's unacceptable, Ba'ora said. Humanity must remain united. Then convince everyone to make the same choice, Hana replied. Or find another way. Over the following days, the debates raged. The humans argued among themselves, with the collective representatives, with each other. Dae-Soong saw the split forming. Some, like Kyung-Soo, believed the Unity Network was humanity's best chance at lasting peace. Others, like Ji-Woo, would rather die than surrender their privacy. Ba'ora tried to find compromise. But no middle ground seemed to exist. Then the attack came. Alarms screamed across the collective homeworld. Devourer ships appeared in orbit, dozens of them, more than had ever been seen in one place. They began firing on the planet, and the collective's defenses rose to meet them. But something was wrong. The attack patterns matched human FDL signatures. The weapons being used were variants of human designs. "It's a frame," Ji Wu said immediately, studying the tactical displays. "The Devourers are using human technology to make it look like Earth is attacking. Why would they do this?" Kyung Soo asked. They soon knew the answer before anyone spoke it. To force the collective to reject humanity. If they believe we're responsible for this attack, they'll vote to quarantine Earth permanently. Maybe worse. Hannah entered the room, her usually calm expression replaced by something harder. The Collective Council is in emergency session. Some members are calling for immediate retaliation against Earth. Others want to wait for evidence. But the damage is being done. Ships are dying out there, and they're dying to weapons that bear human signatures. "We have to prove it wasn't us," Biora said. "How?" Ji Wu demanded. "We're light years from Earth. We can't speak for our governments. For all we know, some faction on Earth really did launch this attack." "No," Daesung said. "This is part of the test." Everyone looked at him. He continued, thinking aloud. "Everything the collective has done has been testing us. The fracture zone tested our ability to cooperate. This is testing something else. They want to see how we react under pressure when we're accused of something terrible. Do we panic? Do we lash out? Do we assume the worst of our own people?" Hana's expression softened slightly. "You understand more than you know. This wasn't just the Devourers, was it?" Daesung said. "Some faction within the collective helped them. Some species that doesn't want humanity to join." "That is a dangerous accusation," Hana said carefully. "But true," Buora added, understanding dawning. "There are species in the collective that fear human unpredictability. They would orchestrate something like this to force the Council's hand." The battle raged above them. Daesung made a decision. "We need to get to the archive. The evidence will be there. If this is a false flag operation, there will be traces, inconsistencies in the attack patterns. We can prove humanity's innocence, but only if we can access the real-time data before it's altered or destroyed. The archive is on the other side of the galaxy," Kyung Soo said. "It would take days to reach it through normal channels." "Then we use abnormal channels," Ji Wu said. "We steal a fast ship and we go now." Hannah held up a hand. "Wait, before you do something rash, you should know that I have been in contact with someone on Earth, someone who has been working to prepare humanity for this moment." A hologram appeared showing a woman Daesung didn't recognize at first. Then he realized it was Baora, but younger, standing in what looked like Earth's United Nations building. The recording was dated 3 days ago. "This is Baora speaking to the Emergency Council," the hologram said. "We have received intelligence that forces opposed to human-alien cooperation are planning a false flag attack. I am being sent to the collective homeworld to represent Earth's interests. Whatever happens, whatever we are accused of, remember this. Humanity's character will be judged not by the accusations made against us, but by how we respond to those accusations." The recording ended. Daesung looked at the real Biora. "You knew this was coming?" "We suspected," she admitted. "Not the details, but the general shape of it. Every species that seeks to join the collective faces a similar crisis. A test of character at the moment when everything seems lost." "So what do we do?" Gaiwu asked. Hana answered. "You prove that humanity can be trusted even when trust seems impossible. You show the collective that humans do not assume guilt without evidence, that you fight for truth rather than revenge, that you can remain rational even when emotions are high. Dae-Soon nodded slowly. Then we go to the archive. We find the proof. And we expose whoever is really behind this attack. It won't be easy, Hana warned. The conspirators will try to stop you. They have resources and influence. You will be opposed by beings far more powerful than yourselves. Good, Ji-Woo said, checking her weapons. I prefer a fair fight. They assembled a team. Da-Zoon, Ji-Woo, Bao-Ora, and Kung-Su. 4 humans against whatever conspiracy had formed within the collective itself. Hana provided them with a fast ship and access codes that might get them to the archive before anyone could stop them as they prepared to leave. Bizura pulled Dae-Soon aside. You know this might fail, right? We might prove humanity's innocence, but still be rejected. The Unity Network requirement won't change. Earth will still be divided over whether to accept it. I know, Dae-Soon said. But right now, we have to worry about surviving the next few days. We can figure out the rest later. Your sister would be proud of you, Biora said. My sister died because I wasn't there to help her, Dae-Soon replied. I won't make that mistake again. Not with humanity's future at stake. They launched into the chaos above, their small ship dodging debris and weapons fire. Ahead lay the archive, and whatever truth awaited them there. Behind them, the collective homeworld burned, and humanity's reputation hung in the balance that the archive was under lockdown when they arrived. Security ships surrounded it like angry wasps, and automated defenses tracked their vessel the moment they dropped out of the wormhole. Zi-Sung's hands were steady on the controls, but his heart hammered against his ribs. This is Security Station 9, a voice crackled over their communications. You are entering restricted space. State your identification and purpose. Bayara leaned forward and activated the diplomatic codes Hana had given them. This is Ba-Ora, official representative of Earth. We are investigating the attack on the collective homeworld. We have authorization from Council Member Hana to access archive records. Silence stretched for long seconds. Then, stand by for verification. They're stalling, Ji-Woo muttered. She was monitoring the tactical displays, her combat training making her eyes dart constantly between readouts. 3 ships are moving to intercept us. They're not security patterns. Those are attack formations. Can we outrun them? Kyung-Soo asked from the engineering station. Not for long, Dae-Soon said. This ship is fast, but it's not a warship. If they want to stop us, they will. The communication channel crackled again, but this time it was a different voice. Older, more authoritative. Attention, human vessel. This is Archive Director Mel. Your codes are valid, but your timing is suspicious. The attack on our homeworld used human technology. You arrive at the archive claiming to investigate. How do I know you are not part of the conspiracy you claim to expose? Ora didn't hesitate. Because if we were, we would already be gone. We would have fled to Earth or hidden somewhere in the outer systems. Instead, we're here, asking for your help to find the truth. That should tell you something about our intentions. Another pause. Dae-Soon watched the intercepting ships grow closer on his display. His fingers hovered over the thruster controls, ready to run if necessary. But where would they go? The entire galaxy thought humanity was responsible for an attack on the collective. There was nowhere to hide from that accusation. You may dock, Director Mel finally said, but you will be escorted at all times. Any suspicious behavior will result in immediate detention. Is that understood? Understood, Biora replied. Thank you. The security ships backed off, allowing them to approach the archive's main docking ring. As they settled into the landing bay, Dae-Soon noticed something. The ships that had been pursuing them weren't standard security vessels. Their hulls bore markings he recognized from the intelligence briefings Hana had shown him. They belong to the architects, one of the oldest and most influential species in the collective. We're walking into a trap, Jiwoo said, seeing the same thing. Maybe, Daesung agreed. But it's a trap we have to spring. The evidence we need is in there. They disembarked into a reception area that would have been impressive under normal circumstances. Now it felt oppressive, with armed security personnel from a dozen different species watching their every move. Director Mel met them in person. He was tall and thin, his species resembling elongated humans with skin like polished stone. "Follow me," he said without preamble, "and understand that I am taking a significant risk allowing you access. If you are responsible for the attack, my cooperation will be seen as treason." "We're not responsible," Biora said firmly. "But someone wants you to think we are. Someone who benefits from humanity being rejected by the collective." They were led through corridors that curved in impossible ways, past chambers filled with data crystals and holographic records spanning millions of years. Finally, they reached a secure analysis room. Director Mel activated a holographic display showing the attack on the collective homeworld. "These are the signatures from the attacking vessels," he explained. "Every weapon, every propulsion system, every communication protocol matches human designs. The probability of this being coincidental is essentially zero." Kyung-soo moved closer to the display, his engineering expertise making him the logical analyst. He examined the data for several minutes, his expression growing darker. "These aren't just similar to human designs. They're identical. Too identical. What do you mean?" Dae-sung asked. "Human engineers always make small modifications," Kyung-soo explained. "Personal preferences, efficiency improvements, local adaptations. No two human ships are exactly alike, even if they're built to the same specifications. But these attacking vessels are perfect copies of our baseline designs. No variations at all. It's like someone took our blueprints and manufactured them without any human input." Director Mel's stone-like features shifted into what might have been surprise. "That would require access to your complete technical databases. Only a few species in the collective have the resources and expertise to manufacture technology from another civilization so precisely." "The architects," Jiwoo said. "They had access to human technology during the first contact attempt. When Taemin's team was captured, they would have downloaded everything." "That is a serious accusation," Director Mel warned. "The architects are founding members of the collective. Their word carries enormous weight." "Then we need more proof," Biora said. "Director, can you show us the communication intercepts from the attacking ships? If they're using human technology, they should be broadcasting on human frequencies." The display shifted to show communication logs. For a moment, Daesung thought they would find nothing. Then Kung-soo pointed to an anomaly. "There, that carrier wave frequency. It's off by 0.003 Hertz. Human communication systems have a natural drift of 0.002 Hertz due to quantum fluctuations in our crystal oscillators. This signal is too stable. It's artificially generated to look human, but whoever made it didn't account for the natural imperfections. Is that enough?" Daesung asked Director Mel. "It is suggestive, but not conclusive," the director replied. "We would need to trace the origin of the ships themselves. If we could prove they were manufactured in architect facilities rather than human ones, that would be definitive." "How long would that take?" Biora asked. "Days, possibly weeks. The architects have manufacturing sites across dozens of systems. Each would need to be investigated." "We don't have weeks," Jiwoo said. "The Collective Council is probably voting right now on how to respond to the attack. If they vote to quarantine or eliminate humanity before we can prove our innocence, it won't matter what evidence we find later." Daesung thought fast. They needed something conclusive, something that couldn't be explained away or ignored. Then an idea struck him. Director, during the attack, did any of the attacking ships transmit their registry codes? All ships in human space are required to broadcast identification continuously. It's a safety protocol. Director Mel accessed new data. Yes, they transmitted codes, but those codes match legitimate human vessels. Can you show me the exact format of those codes? Dai Soong asked. The information appeared on the display. Dai Soong studied it, then smiled grimly. These codes are 3 years old. They follow the registry format that was in use before the first FTL mission. But 6 months after that mission failed, Earth updated the registry system, changed the encryption algorithm, and added additional authentication layers. These codes are perfect copies of old formats, but they don't include the updates. The architects copied what they had from the first contact, but they didn't know about changes that came after. Silence filled the room. Then Director Mel spoke, his voice carrying new respect. That is conclusive. The attacking vessels could not have come from Earth. They were manufactured using stolen intelligence that was already outdated. This is sufficient evidence to bring formal charges against the architects before the Council. Will it be enough to save humanity? Bay-Ora asked. I do not know, the director admitted, but it will give your species a chance to defend yourselves. That is more than most accused civilizations receive. They transmitted their findings to the Collective Council immediately. The response was swift. Emergency sessions were called. The architects were summoned to explain. The attack on the homeworld continued, but now the Collective's forces fought with renewed purpose. Knowing the enemy was not humanity, but traitors from within, Dai Soong and his team were transported back to the homeworld under heavy guard, not as prisoners, but as protected witnesses. When they arrived, they found the planet had transformed. The beautiful harmony they had seen before was gone, replaced by something harder. The Collective had been betrayed by one of its founding members, and the wound ran deep. They were brought before the full council, a vast chamber where representatives from 347 species gathered in judgment. Hana was there, standing with a group of council members who had supported humanity from the beginning. The architects stood in the center, surrounded by security. The trial was brief. The evidence was presented. The architects did not deny their guilt. Instead, their spokesperson, an ancient being whose name translated as First Builder, spoke with cold conviction. We did what we believed necessary, First Builder said. Humanity is dangerous. They are unpredictable, violent, chaotic. They would corrupt the unity we have spent 50,000 years building. We manufactured the crisis to force the Council to see the truth. Better to reject them now than wait for them to destroy us from within. Ba-Ora stood and addressed the Council. You're right that humans are unpredictable. We're violent when we need to be. We're chaotic because we embrace change and diversity. But those things aren't weaknesses. They're strengths. The Collective has become so focused on unity that you've forgotten how to adapt to new challenges. You've become stagnant. Humanity could shake that up, make you uncomfortable, force you to grow. Maybe that's what you really fear. Not that we'll destroy you, but that will change you. The Council deliberated for hours. When they emerged, their decision surprised everyone. The architects were expelled from the Council, but not from the Collective. They would face restrictions and oversight for a generation, time enough to prove they had learned from their mistake. It was a mercy that shocked many, but the Council explained. The Collective was built on forgiveness and growth, not punishment and exclusion. Even betrayal could be overcome given time and genuine change. As for humanity, the Council offered something unexpected, a compromise that no species had ever been given before. You will be welcomed into the Collective as independent associates, the Council speaker announced. You will have full access to our technology, trade networks, and knowledge. You will be invited to participate in all major decisions. But you will not be required to join the Unity network. You may remain separate, retaining your privacy and your unpredictability. In exchange, you will serve as mediators and peacekeepers. Your perspective as outsiders will help us see problems we have grown blind to. You will be the voice that asks uncomfortable questions and challenges our assumptions. Dae-Soong stood beside Bo-Ra and the other humans as they processed this. It was more than they had hoped for, yet less than full membership. They would always be somewhat apart, but perhaps that was appropriate. Perhaps humanity's gift to the galaxy was to remain different. There is one more thing, the speaker continued. The human Tae-Min, who sacrificed himself in the fracture zone, will be honored with a memorial in the Hall of Heroes. His name will be remembered alongside the greatest beings in collective history. He proved that humans can rise above their worst impulses. He showed us that your species, given time and understanding, can be worthy of trust. After the session ended, Dae-Soong found himself alone with Hana on an observation deck overlooking the collective homeworld. The city stretched beneath them, beautiful and vast and strange. You planned this from the beginning, didn't you? He asked. The whole thing. The tests, the accusations, even the architect's betrayal. It was all designed to see how humanity would respond. Hannah smiled. Not planned, observed. The collective did not orchestrate the architect's betrayal. They acted on their own fear and prejudice. But we knew something like it would happen, because it always does. Every species that joins the collective faces a crisis of trust. How you respond determines your place among us. And how did we do? Better than expected, Hana admitted. Most species either fight back violently or surrender completely. You did neither. You investigated, you proved your innocence, but you also listened when the architects explained their fears. You didn't demand their punishment. That showed wisdom beyond your years as a spacefaring civilization. Dae-Soong thought about his sister, about Tae-Min, about all the humans who had sacrificed so much for this moment. What happens now? Now you go home, Hana said. You tell your people what you've learned. Some will choose to join the collective fully, accepting the Unity network. Others will remain independent. Your species will split, as we knew it would. But in time, you will find balance. The independent humans will keep asking difficult questions, pushing boundaries, taking risks. The joined humans will provide stability, connection, understanding. Together, you will be stronger than either group could be alone. Will I ever see you again? Of course, Hana said. I will be Earth's liaison to the collective. We will be working together for many years. I look forward to seeing what your species accomplishes. You have already taught us things we had forgotten. I believe you will teach us much more. 50 years later, Dae-Soong stood in the same observation deck with his daughter Yoon-ji. She was 25, born on Earth but raised among the stars. She had chosen to join the Unity network when she turned 18, a decision that had broken his heart even as he respected it. Do you ever regret it? She asked him. Staying independent? You could have joined the network with me. Sometimes, Dae-Soong admitted. But I think I serve humanity better this way. Someone needs to remember what it's like to be fully human, with all our chaos and contradictions. Someone needs to ask the questions that make people uncomfortable. And someone needs to build bridges, Yoon-ji replied, to understand different perspectives and find common ground. That's what the network allows me to do. We're both serving humanity, just in different ways. He smiled and put his arm around her shoulders. Your grandmother would have been proud of you. Of all of us. Below them, the collective homeworld gleamed. Human ships moved among the traffic now, no longer unusual or strange. Human voices spoke in council chambers, in research facilities, in markets and homes across the galaxy. Humanity had not achieved perfection. They had failed many times and would fail again. But they had earned their place among the stars, not by becoming something they weren't, but by showing the galaxy what they were: flawed, chaotic, unpredictable, violent, compassionate, persistent, and growing. Human.